Hi friends, today my topic is firewalls. Let us study detail more about firewalls. Just going to the content, first we start with the introduction and we are going to see what is firewall, applications of firewalls, software firewall versus hardware firewall, history, design goals for firewall, and the next is types, basic concepts of firewall, role of firewall, advantages, disadvantages, conclusions. And let's start the session. First thing, we start with the introductions. First, we want to know that what is meant by firewalls. That is the first thing in it. While using the computers, the firewalls plays a major role. Okay. First thing, the internet has made large amount of informations available to the average computer users at home, in business and educations. That means the internet has give more benefits to the users. For many people, having access to this information is no longer just an advantage, it is essential. While seeing to that, it is not an advantage, it is an essential thing. Therefore, the security of network is the main criteria here, and firewalls provide this security. While using the network, we always want a security because the hackers can hack our systems, hack our internet, and steal our passwords and critical informations. So that we want to protect our system from that. That is why we are using the firewalls. Next, what is firewall? In the picture itself, you simply see that a firewall is a simply program or hardware device that filters the information coming through the internet connection into your private network or computer system. In that, first thing is internet. If the internet is coming, if the internet is coming from outside source, okay, it may contain virus, malicious activities and suspicious activities, so that the firewall can protect that internet, so that we can get the safe internet. Seeing that the firewall protect the internet and the internet is circulating. Seeing to the next, what is the application of firewall? And firewall is a special firewall that is specially coded for type of traffic it is inspecting. The most widely developed application firewall is the web publication firewall. In this, the mostly developed firewall is web application firewall, because we are using the websites. Many of them can steal our passwords or hacking our system, so that it can protect from that. Going on to the next, what is the difference between a host based firewall and network based firewall? A host based firewall is installed on an individual computer to protect from activity occurring on its network, because the host based firewall is installed in an individual system. While we are using the system, in our system we have installed a host based firewall. A network based firewall is implemented at specified point in the network path and protects all computers on the internal side of the firewall from all the computers on the external side of the firewall, because in this the group of computers is there, because the network is called a group of computers. These firewalls can protect the internal side of the network and the external side of the network. Next, moving on to the next, that is hardware firewall and software firewall. The first thing, hardware firewalls are integrated in the router that sits between a computer and in the internet. The hardware firewall, nowadays we are using routers, Wi-Fi's. These are the hardware substances we are using to connect to the internet. So that these hardware firewalls uses that to protect the system from the malicious activities. Then the another one is software firewalls. Software firewalls are installed on individual servers, because software firewalls are installed on the individual servers. That is, in the server, they intercept each connection request and then determine whether the request is valid or not, because the software firewall can check whether the request is valid or not. Next, going on to the next slide, that is history of firewalls. First thing, we want to know that what is meant by history. We mean varalaru. In the history of firewalls, firewall technology first began to emerge in 1980s. Internet was still a fairly new technology in terms of its global usage and connectivity. in terms of its global usage and connectivity. In 1998, an employee at the NASA Ames Research Center in California sent a memo by email to his colleagues that read, "We are currently under attack from internet virus." This is the history of the firewall. The history of the firewall first begins in the 1980s itself. See that how long it's been taken. Then we are moving to the next. The first paper published on firewall technology was in 1988 when Geoff Mowell from Digital Equipment Corp developed filter systems known as packet filtered firewalls on the largest internet security companies in the world. They released the product to the public in 1997 because our internet computers released this product to the consumers, to the common public in the 1997. In the 1997 itself, the firewall came into existence. Then going to the design goals for a firewall. If the firewall is designed, what are the things that to be followed? The first design goal for a firewall is that collectively the sum of all network traffic from internal to external must go through the firewall physically, cutting off all access to the local network except via the firewall. The firewall is to be designed to cut the malicious activities from the local network. Okay. The second design goal would be only authorized traffic which is delineated by the local security policy will be allowed to proceed. Finally, the last design goal is the firewall. It is resistant to penetration, inclusive, is a solid, trustworthy system in a protected operating system. In this, the design is to be penetrated and protecting to the operating system. Then types of firewall. Packet filtering router. In that internet, the packet filtering router can filter the firewall and it moves to the private network. That means the normal computers. What is meant by packet filtering? In the packet filtering applies a set of rules of each incoming IP packet and then forwards or discards the packet. Filter packets going in both directions. The packet filter is typically set up as a list of rules based on the matches to fields in the IP or TCP header. Two default policies, discard or forward. Then going on to the next. Application level gateway. This is the first type of a firewall, that is you can clearly see in the picture, that is the outside host, FTP, SMTP, HTTP. These are the gateways. Inside connection, inside host. From the center, the application level gateway splits out the connection to the outside connection and inside connection. You can clearly understand it through the picture. Next, application level gateway, also called proxy server, acts as a relay of application level traffic. The application level gateway always acts as a proxy server, acts as a relay of application level traffic. It acts as a application level traffic. Next, going on to the types of firewalls. Circuit level firewall, that is this picture you can see that differently from the application level firewall. This is totally a circuited program because it depends on one to one another, so that it can move from one to one. If the main system will get the connection and it moves to another. If the one system doesn't work, it doesn't work. Then going on to the theory, it's a standalone system. It can stand only alone. A specialized function performed by an application level gateway. Set up two TCP connections. The circuit level gateway setups the two TCP connections. The gateway typically relays TCP segments from one connection to the other without examining the contents. The security function consists of determining which connections will be allowed. The security functions consist of determining which connections will be allowed. Next, basic concepts of a firewall. The basic concept is source, destination, service, action. First thing is source, where to be sourced through the internet. Destination, where destination is to be worked. service, how it is working, action, how the service can be done. This is the basic concepts of a firewall. The role of firewalls. A firewall is a term used for barrier between a network of machines and users that can operate under a common security policy and generally trust each other and outside the world. There are two basic reasons for using a firewall at present: to save money in concentrating your security on a small number of components, and to simplify the architecture of a system by restricting actions only to machines that trust each other. Then going to the advantages of the firewall, that is the next slide. We are going to see that advantages and disadvantages of the firewalls. Advantages of firewall: concentration of security. All modified software and logging is located on the firewall system as opposed to being disturbed on many hosts, because this is being disturbed on many hosts. Protocol filtering, where the firewall filters protocols and services that are either not necessary or that cannot be adequately secured from exploitation. In this, the secret information can be secured using through the help of the firewall. Information hiding, in which a firewall can hide names of internal systems or electronic mail addresses, thereby revealing less information to outside hosts. Then the fourth one is application gateways, where the firewalls requires inside or outside users to connect first to the firewall before connecting further, thereby filtering the protocol. You can clearly understand the advantages of the firewall. Next, going to the disadvantages. I think there is less disadvantages. The most obvious being that certain types of networks access may be hampered or even blocked, or some hosts including Telnet, FTP, Xwindows, NFS, NIS, etc. A second disadvantage with the firewall system is that it concentrates security in one spot as opposed to distributing it among systems. Thus, a compromise of the firewall could be disastrous to other less protected systems on the subnet. Okay, that's the firewall disadvantages of the firewall. Then I would like to conclude my section, that is a conclusion. One of the best things about a firewall from a security standpoint is that it stops anyone on the outside from logging onto a computer in your private network. While this is a big deal for